I almost tentatively say that this is my favourite album by Motörhead. I think it's the dictionary definition of underrated, this album, especially with all the chaos that preceded it, which I'll go to in a minute. Um, yeah, I still remember hearing this for the first time, especially Don't Believe a Word, which just completely knocked my head off, blew my head off. Something, there's something to my head. In 1996, which was when it was released. So, preceding this, then, Wurzel had left the band very acrimoniously. Um, he'd he'd been on his way out for a while. Lemmy was saying during Sacrifice, he sort of he wasn't quite with it. He had the guitar, he just sat down with his guitar across his lap during the recording and stuff. Hardly participated. I think he did only two of the solos. Usually, him and Phil would usually try and take an equal amount. He wasn't bothered, and one time he tried to get a solo, couldn't get it for hours, and stormed out, threw his guitar down, and just stormed out. But he was Lemmy said he kept on blowing up at Lemmy. He'd go all quiet, and something would build up, and then he'd suddenly blow up and say, "Why are you so much more famous than me? Why are you getting all the press?" Because Wurzel, with his general character, his affable character, that massive grin of his, and just he was up for it, always on the beers and loving it all, and very gregarious man, witty and stuff. He was very popular with the Motorhead crowd. Kind of him and Lemmy almost like the sort of weird sort of twins or something. You see him on TV larking about and stuff. So he was popular, and then he shrunk back into the background. I've mentioned this on the Bomber album. Eddie Clark kind of had the same thing. The guys they didn't after a while they didn't like the limelight and they wanted to step back, but then they bitched they weren't getting so much attention anymore. Whereas Lemmy didn't care. He kind of needed the limelight all the time. That's what he was. So anyway, he was blaming Lemmy for this sort of thing, and it was obvious he was on his way out. Then Lemmy, I think soon after Sacrifice being released, or about that time, but Lemmy went on this English sort of evening show or weekend show, whatever you call it, evening show on English TV. It was called Don't Forget Your Toothbrush, presented by this famous radio DJ called Chris Evans, who wore these silly suits and was basically a loud guy. Lemmy clearly couldn't stand him, but anyway, he went on there and he did Good Golly Miss Molly with Jules Holland, who's a famous pianist. He was in some band, Squeeze, I think, but he's done loads of television stuff and that. But he did Good Golly Miss Molly and Ace of Spades with like the house band, so it was like horn players playing Ace of Spades and stuff. Wurzel saw this and apparently just completely blew his lid. It would be distasteful to dwell at length upon this, but apparently he had some issues going on relationship wise and personnel wise. But anyway, that wasn't helping him. He phoned the show. He sent a fax in. He was accusing Lemmy of ripping off his money and all this sort of thing. And anyway, he was out of the band one way or the other. Lemmy said it was just a big relief. But Lemmy was always kind of like the heavy metal hard man, didn't let his feelings really show and stuff. But I think he really felt that with Wurzel. They'd been friends, best friends, for a number of years, like nearly 10 years. Just over 10 years, actually. Yeah, I think they become really close. He said he was his closest friend in the band. I think one of his closest friends generally. And there's someone like that just turn against you. And he was he said he spent a lot of time trying to get out of Wurzel what the real problem was. He couldn't work it out. He said, if you want my publicity, that's fine. Just do more interviews and come with me and do what I do. But, anyway, he was out. But I think Lemmy really felt that one. He said he was just relieved. It was like when he had to get rid of Filthy Animal Taylor. It was like pulling in an infected tooth. Just had to get hurt. He just had to get rid of it. Anyway, so they were man down. They're back to a three-piece. And he was talking to Mickey D. And he said, well, we need to get someone else in, another Axeman, to assist Phil. And Phil Campbell said, actually, I'd like to give the gig a go myself. And he said, believe me, if we need someone else, I'll be the first one to say it. Lemmy said they did 2 songs together. They reversed 2 of the new numbers for what was to come overnight sensation. He knew immediately it was fine, the 3 of them. And I think, the volume Motorhead played at and stuff, stage-wise as well, the members of Motorhead said it was a lot more, I don't know, sedate or something. I mean, to have 2 guitarists. And a lot of the time, like someone said about 2 guitarists of Motorhead, it's like, what they say, what's the expression, like having tits on a bull? Something, especially when they were playing the same riff or the same chords, for full Lemmy said he wanted two guitars to play off each other and stuff, like the Rolling Stones, the guitars weave in and out. That wasn't really Motörhead. It was just, you know, riffs, and they were just doubling up a lot of the time. So it was kind of a bit cleaner maybe on stage or something. And then Lemmy's bass as well, playing it like basically like a distorted rhythm guitar. So Overnight Sensation is the album that came out. The title track obviously meant to be a bit ironic about Motörhead's struggle to first of all get success, and then the struggle it had with sort of holding on to it, and the ups and downs in the career. So Overnight Sensation was very much tongue in cheek, and yeah, fantastic track. That brilliant opening bass riff, which is kind of like the Watcher, but the rhythm of it jumbled up a bit. The octave jumps that Lemmy likes to do a lot, and the lyrics as well. You know, so I know you're only talking. I think it's the first one, but the way Lemmy was straight in sometimes, and you like instantly got your attention. Like, well, what's he got? Yeah, well, what's he going? Sometimes I thought he'd been made a brilliant short story writer. Well, some of his lyrics were short stories, you know, and very poignant or moving. Sometimes, like 1916. But straight in with a classic track, and just a strong title track for a strong album for me, which, given all the crap that preceded it, was quite an achievement in my humble opinion. I think they're having their usual label problems. I've got Wikipedia up same as normal just to get the basic facts. First official record for CMC, whoever they were, but yeah, I think they did have label problems or something. But I remember at the time there was problems getting hold of it in England. There was difficulty getting hold of Overnight Sensation, and for a few years afterwards, I remember trying to get a copy of the CD again. I lost mine. I tried to get mine in like 2001, I think. Eventually, some guy from like the Motörhead Bangers, or he just sent me he copied it on CD and sent me to it, and he wouldn't take any payment or something. He said, from America it was. It's a pleasure to do a favour for a fellow Motörhead fan. So thank you very much, that man. I did thank him by email, but that's the length I had to go to get a copy. Anyway, God, I'm rabbiting today. Civil War kicks it off. Fantastic track. They opened a few times with it. I've seen videos of them opening a few times with it. Yeah, really storming monster riff. Crazy like a fox. I love. That's brilliant. Classic, just good time rock and roll, you know. Being, you know, if you're a guy being with a hot chick, come on, take my hand, we're out of here. Sort of thing. Probably not one for the feminists, but yeah, there you go. What does make them happy? And they Lemmy doing his harp. What a brilliant harp player he was. You know, really good. I don't believe a word. Just, man, those lyrics. Well, the whole song. But I have been where none have been in the empty howling rooms. And sometimes I think I know what he meant by that. And you know, I've seen The Shape of Space. Really just magical words. He was, as a lyricist, he's absolutely unsurpassed in my opinion. Eat the Gun, kind of a funny, really 1-2 of a song, that one, you know. Anti-joining the army song or something, but yeah, good. Just a real mover. Overnight Sensation talked about that. Love Can't Buy You Money. I love that riff, and great bass solo as well. Broken, again, fantastic song. Great chorus. Them Not Me. So let me sorry, some flashed. I've got a message. Let Them Not Me. Lemmy has a pop at racists and people who gawp at people who've been in accidents, you know, people who slow down to see the accident and stuff, and people who ignore stuff like racism and stuff. So he definitely takes a pop at things that irritate him on that one. Did you see the accident? Something funny that makes you feel really, really good. It was them, it wasn't me. Yeah, don't be selfish, I think it was something. Shake the World. And with all these songs, it's the change of style and pace and stuff. Something like the album before it, Sacrifice, was very, very heavy. I mean, it's a popular on Motörhead fans. It's not so much for me. It was just too heavy, and every track was, you know, it was great. I could see that it was a great album if you're into that sort of thing. But this one's got nice change of pace, sort of style. Especially you've got something like Crazy Fox, and all out rock and roll good time number, going to something like I Don't Believe a Word. And there's a lot of layers there for me. So it's for an album. For me, it took some of the songs took some careful listening, and others were just like, you know, what you want when you're having a nice beer. Shake the world, I hate the world, I smell its rotten breath. Yeah, he was such a moody old doom crow, bless him. But he managed to be that way without sort of ever seeming to get depressed about it, or if he did, well, he probably felt down at times. Who doesn't? But um, and Listen to Your Heart, great track with a strong acoustic. Someone said it was like I think Lemmy said it was like his tribute to the Everly Brothers or something. But a great sing along chorus, and again, I think it's one of those songs that could have been. You could give that song to like I can't think of any examples of the artist, but you could give it to like a power pop artist, for example. I don't know, maybe like Belinda Carlisle or something. Slightly rejig the song, you'd have a big hit. I mean, what a songwriter! But of course, because it's Motörhead, you know, only the faithful heard it. And a great end to the album. So it's just comes in at just over 40 minutes, 1 minute 19, 41:19. Just a great hard hitting and varied album. There's changes of pace and style, like I say, but always Motörhead. That was a brilliant thing about Motörhead. They could experiment so much within their genre, you know, and then it's unfortunate people go, oh, Motörhead, Ace of Spades. And little do they know, nothing. So yeah, from shaky beginnings and personnel shake-ups and label problems and all the customary crap that Motörhead had to cope with over the years, they pulled a really strong album out of the hat, and I think for me it's one of my favourite albums. Yeah, and I think it's really underrated. So yeah, that's Overnight Sensation there.